This meeting of the Community Development Board is called to order on August 16, 2022. Welcome, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This board consists of 7 members and 1 alternate who are appointed by the City Council and serve voluntarily. I am Mary Lau, and I will ask the other members and staff to introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Mike Flannery. Gray Hood Report.
Andrew Caudell.
Jay Daniel, attorney for the board.
Lauren Matsky, Planning and Development.
Samuel Hudkin.
Bruce Rector.
Andy Park.
John Quattrocki.
Matthew Middich, Assistant City Attorney, without a mic today, so.
All right. Please remember to turn off your cell phones so that they do not become a distraction during the meeting. Please also refrain from having conversations in this room so that we might hear all of the testimony given today. To ensure a complete record of this board's actions, we ask that each individual wishing to speak, including the applicant, speak into the microphone at the podium in front of us, clearly state your name and spell your last name for the clerk. Now, I will ask all those in attendance today who plan to speak to please rise and be sworn in by the clerk.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give us the entire truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Agendas of today's meeting are on the podium to your left near the entry door. Also on this podium are a roster of the Community Development Board, the list of city staff experts and their resumes, the board's rules of procedure, and the annual schedule of this board. Our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes from last month's meeting. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes of last meeting.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. At this point, we have an opportunity for members of the public to come forward to speak on any subject that is not on today's agenda. Is there anyone present who would like to comment about something that's not on the agenda? All right, thank you. We will proceed to our consent agenda. This board has adopted a consent agenda format, and the consent items are identified as such on the agenda. Consent agenda items are those for which the Planning and Development Department recommends approval. The applicant's in agreement with any proposed conditions, and no written objections to the case have been received to date. Items may be removed from the consent agenda today by a member of the board, a member of the staff, or any person in the audience for questions or objections. I will read each item on the consent agenda, and if any person wishes to remove that item from the consent agenda, please so state or raise your hand, and we will remove it. Items removed from the consent agenda will be heard in regular order of the meeting. Items that remain on the consent agenda will be approved with a single vote. We have 2 level 3 items on today's consent agenda, and the first one is case LUP 2022-06005-110 North McMullen Booth Road. Owner is First Baptist Church of Clearwater. Representative is Brian Ongst of McFarland Ferguson. The location is a .982 acre portion of a 41.016 acre parcel located on the southwest corner of Drew Street and McMullen Booth Road. The Community Development Board is reviewing a request to amend the future land use map designation from residential urban to institutional and is making a recommendation to the City Council. Is there anyone who would like to remove this item from today's consent agenda? Right. Our second level 3 item is a related matter involving the same property, case REZ 2022-06005, again 110 North McMullen Booth Road. Owner First Baptist Church of Clearwater. Representative Brian Ongst of McFarland Ferguson. The location is the .982 acre portion of a 41.016 acre parcel located generally on the southwest corner of Drew Street and McMullen Booth Road. The board is reviewing a request to amend the zoning atlas designation from low-medium density residential to institutional and making a recommendation to the City Council. Is there anyone who wishes to remove this item from today's consent agenda? All right.
Chair Lau,
Yes.
Member Park has a
Yes, I was going to ask if any members of the board have a conflict for either one of these items?
I do have a conflict on both.
All right. Mr. Park will abstain from voting when we get a motion. Is there a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
I motion to approve.
Do we, I think we need to follow the script on this first. Level 3.
So I have to start with the case numbers, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's got the thing.
I move to recommend approval of items, item number 1, case LUP 2022-46005, and item 2, case REZ 2022-06005, based on the findings and fact conclusions of law, the staff report. Is that going to work? No, that's consent. On today's consent agenda, based on the evidence of the record, including the application, the staff report, and hereby adopt the findings of fact, conclusions of law stated in the staff reports with the conditions of approval as listed.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. With that, I will, the last item we have on today's agenda is a director's item. Ms. Maskey, are you going to introduce that?
I will. So thank you very much. Today I've actually got Chuck Lee, who's our Assistant Director for Economic Development and Housing, and he'll be presenting this item.
All right.
Good afternoon. Y'all thought you were going to get out of here fast. Huh?
Your name for the clerk, please.
Chuck Lane. I'm the Assistant Director of the Economic Development and Housing Department. So my role in the city, my job is to oversee the housing division. The City of Clearwater receives allocations from the state and federal government for community development and affordable housing programs. So the job of the housing division is to create and manage programs to spend those funds. So the State Housing Initiative Partnership Program, of course, it's state funds. We get an allocation every year. Last year, we got about $780,000 in an allocation. This year, it's a little bit over $1 million. When you think about the cost of housing, that money doesn't go real far, right? We leverage it as much as we can, and the state understands that. So the state also understands that we can incentivize housing, affordable housing, development of affordable housing, not just through subsidy, but through policy at the local government level, right? So that's what this is all about. We're required every year to convene an Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. Okay, and that committee looks at our code, our policies, any rules or regulations the city has in place that might affect the cost of housing, that might affect someone's decision whether or not to build affordable housing. So that's what the state wants us to do. That's what the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee is tasked with. Okay, so that committee is very prescribed how we develop that committee. There needs to be a real estate agent, a person in the banking industry associated with affordable housing, in the building industry, in the construction industry. One of the seats that needs to be filled by a member of the local planning agency, and our interpretation is that that's a member of this board. Okay, so I'm here today to ask you to appoint or recommend council appoint one of you to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. So that commitment will be 3 days, 3 mornings, the second Tuesday of every month beginning September, and that's tentative because we can shift that if we can start getting into the holidays. It starts getting a little touchy with schedules. 9:00 a.m. in this meeting room. In past history, the meetings last anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, and that would be the commitment level. So here to ask you to choose a member among yourselves that I can go to council and ask them to appoint that person as part of the board. So any questions you have for me before you start that discussion?
How long is the term for? I mean, how long is that seat for?
Well, Michael Boutsikis was in the seat for as long as I've been in this position. I've been here in this position about 5 years. So it would, and that's really up to you. If you want to change that appointment each year, we can do that. I can get back to you each year with this recommendation. The person can sit until he terms out of this board. That's entirely up to y'all. I can do either.
Is this how many How many meetings other than the three that you just mentioned? Is there more?
It's just 3 meetings. It's every year. It used to be every 3 years. In 2020, the state changed the rules to make it every year, and also required that one of the seats be filled by a council member. So that's a new change for us as well.
So 3 meetings, first Tuesday of, or second Tuesday, okay, and then 3 consecutive meetings,
September, October.
October, November, and then,
September meeting will probably, and really, the reason we choose those times is the 7 members of the 11 members are seated by the Neighborhood and Affordable Housing Advisory Board, and they always meet on the second Tuesday of every month. So that's why we try to make it convenient to their schedule. But we have in the past had to change meeting times, because when you get into November, it starts getting
dicey.
difficult. We have to have a quorum. Of course, it'd be 6 people would be a quorum. So when if someone had to miss a meeting, probably wouldn't kill us. We'd probably still have a quorum. We have a pretty reliable board.
that was my next question.
Madam Chair, I certainly don't want to compete for this position. Somebody else has a real interest in doing that, but this is an extremely important topic for our community and a significant need. And I'm very interested in it, and if no one else on the board is interested, I'd be willing to fill this role.
All right.
I second that.
I think Mr. Rector would be a great choice. And I was not going to be interested in it because I'm term limited. That I'm in my last 6 months of my final term, so I'm not a good choice. But
I only would have done it if no one said anything. But
all right.
Bruce is the man for the job.
All right. Everybody in agreement with that?
I second
All right.
it.
We have a motion.
Do we need a motion, do you think?
Let's do a motion.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Somebody want to make a motion to have Mr. Rector appointed to this committee?
I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I thought I made the motion.
Pardon me?
Director.
Who made the motion?
Oh, sorry, the chairman did.
Yeah.
I guess you could say I made the motion.
Yeah.
I'm not-
Put me down, Mike.
I don't know. There you go.
Sure can't do it.
Fair enough. I've always wondered about
Which,
that.
I know. And the chair make the motion.
Are we good?
Thank you.
You got him.
Are we good, Jay, or what?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna suit over that one. We're fine.
Okay.
That was harder than it needed to be, but that's okay.
All right. Is there any other business to come before the board today? If not, we're adjourned at 1:12.
Good job, man.
All right.